ROI, what is the R? A big return on investment. Brands are now having to create content, they're having to put it out everywhere, and they're asking what's the ROI? My return would be, well, have you identified what the R is?
Yeah.
Like, what's the actual return that you're trying to do? Like, for a smaller brand to a bigger brand, they could be two potentially different things. If you're a small person that's selling cups, you just want to sell more cups. If you're a big brand that has, some different health and safety, government regulation type stuff, there's so many different tones of voice and message. So I think a key question that brands need to ask themselves to start with is not what's the ROI, it's actually what's the R.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's all about having that conversation right at the start to understand what are the metrics that you're measuring for this specific piece of content.
And I don't think enough people are doing that. It's almost kind of like asking the why. Like, why are you creating it? What's the hook? Why are they? And from an agency or a brand perspective, a lot of agencies or people in the middle will be like, oh yeah, you got to create more, blah blah. It's like, well, most of the time I've got relationships with the brands.
Yeah.
I'm saying, no man, you don't actually need that. Like, maybe you actually need this. And now as technology gets better and better, I think that people are maybe getting confused on what they're trying to achieve, and I think it's maybe kind of like a bit of a dangerous thing.
Yeah,
right?
It just comes back to having that strategic plan over the course of the year, understanding what you're trying to do with your content, what you're trying to measure, and what each component within the content is there to do.
And it's really probably just, I guess, questioning yourself to make sure that the spend that you're putting within marketing to content actually has some clear and tangible results that are plugged into it.
Yeah, it's easy for small businesses because it's sales, but for bigger businesses where you're doing a brand piece, it's not necessarily going to be very easy to measure how many units we've sold on the back of that. So it's all about outcome, and it's all about figuring it out right from the very start.
And it keeps it accountable too, because if you're saying digital is the future, but then there's no way people aren't tracking it and putting the people in the middle being accountable for it, it's like, what's the flipping point? Well, I'm just spending money to get this thing. And so I think from a branding perspective and from a budgeting perspective, both sides need to be accountable. And I think before you go spending money, I think people just need to be a lot more smarter about why they're flipping doing it.
Yeah, agreed.
More content coming soon.